I'm Rod Meadsbury. I'm here with Mariana Restrepo. Together, we're the editorial team of Buddhadharma. And we're here today with Jessica Larson, who is the Director of Education and Programming for the Namchak Foundation, and Marissa Fornaro, who is the Digital and Social Media Specialist for Namchak Foundation. And we're here to talk to you both about the Compassion in Action program. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having us.
You bet. Well, so this program is very, very interesting, and I think kind of unlike most opportunities that Buddhist practitioners in North America might get to encounter. Can you give us a little bit of background on that program?
Sure. The Compassion in Action program was launched in 2020, right before the pandemic struck. But it's been in a visionary and development phase for many years. Namchak's co-founder, one of our core teachers, name is Lama Tsomo.
Yes.
And Lama Tsomo is very passionate about making these teachings of one of the oldest form of Tibetan Buddhist practice available to young people. Those people who are just getting ready to launch into a new phase of their life. And that's for many reasons. One is because she wishes that she had access to these practices when she was that age. And I think the second is really because if we look around at what's happening, what many of these young people are experiencing, loneliness, fear of what's to come, of what's happening in the world. She just knows that these practices can meet those students and hopefully support them in meeting those challenges, the challenges of our times. And I think there's like one more piece that I want to lift up that's really important to Namchak and to this program. And that's like this concept of the village. You know, we have these incredible access to these incredible teachers and this ancient lineage and all of this wisdom, right? Which is so important. But it also, these young people between the ages of 18 to 27 really hold these other tools and are bringing these other superpowers to the table. You know, those are the superpowers of youth, the ability to like have enthusiasm, to see what's just beyond the horizon. And we at Namchak really wanted to create a space where we could play in that realm and start to really build that village concept.
So you said that this idea, while only really launching very recently, has been in gestation for a long period of time. How long and what was the the origin moment for the idea?
So I would say that the origin moment for the idea was that Lama Tsomo had this beautiful vision and really like motivation. I'd like to bring these teachings to young people. I don't know how it's going to happen. I don't know what this will look like, but let's start meeting with young people and seeing what is that they would need. So for many years, we started to meet with students that would either come to our retreats or we would go to them. We would go to universities and college students, college campuses, and just talk to young people who are interested in meditation, maybe interested in Dharma, and ask which format they would like to receive these teachings. So we took our model that we use of learning circles, of small, intimate meditation groups, and we took some feedback from the students and we crafted this program.
Wow. So how long ago was that? Was that 10 years ago, 20 years ago?
I would say no. I would say like it really started coming in like within the last 8 years.
Okay.
Yeah, new.
So who should sign up for such a thing? Who is signing up? Who else should consider? What are the requisites?
Marissa, do you want to? I feel like you do a lot of this piece. Marissa, do you want to talk a little bit about?
Sure. Yeah, I'm happy to, Jess. And then please like add in and round me out. So who should sign up for the Compassion in Action Fellowship? So I guess what I'll share is like, so last year it was, we kind of started the program as a 4-week summer immersion retreat. And so it was very separate from the Compassion in Action Fellowship, which is a year-long journey for young people. And so after immersing with the students last year, we found like, hey, it might work better if this 4-week retreat merged into, with the year-long fellowship, so that the students had an experience of like really coming together so that they could then go out into their communities and share these meditation practices with other young people. And so I would just share, so it kind of merged from one 4-week retreat into like the full fellowship. And the fellowship existed last year, but we just merged those two. So I would say anyone that is really interested in having an impact on the world, that is really interested in change-making work and wants to gain access to meditation practices and contemplative practices to help them ground in their own being, and then also open up their heart and equip them with the ability to move through adversity and just the stress of life with a little bit more grace and ease. My experience with interacting with students is that these practices really help them kind of ground themselves and maybe come out of fight or flight and into a space of like wisdom and kind of bird's eye view. And it gives them the space to then like connect with their own innate truth and with others. So I would say anyone that's like really interested in doing the work and interested in sharing these practices with other people and want to have a positive ripple effect on the world.
And if I may jump in, while the program is definitely rooted in Tibetan tradition and Buddhist wisdom, is the program open to students or young people from other traditions? And I know the 4-week program is a meditation kind of immersion, but the whole year-long program does it have aspects that are kind of more open to people and students who might not be Buddhist?
Great question. Yep. It is open to non-Buddhists for sure. And I think it has appeal to a wide range of experience and appetite for Buddhist practice. The Compassion and Action Fellows Program the curriculum is based off of Namchak's personal community world model. We try to deliver curriculum and experiences and exposure to help people develop contemplative skills in the personal arena, also like self-reflection for these young people in particular, like a little bit of like the who am I in this moment? What is can I be in contact with my inner voice? In the community realm, we bring in teachers from outside of Buddhism. We have a partnership with the Academy for the Love of Learning and Aaron Stern's work. And his team brings all these modalities to help us bridge the contemplative practices that we might do on the cushion to how we show up in community in real life. I always like use the example of like, on the cushion, we're developing like compassion and wisdom, hopefully. But what happens when someone cuts us off in traffic or when a friend does something that harms us? How can we build the habits off the cushion as well? And we also invite in teachers like Oren J. Sofer to teach nonviolent communication and introduce some polyvagal theory as well. And then the students spend about 3 months at the end of their journey in the world sphere. And that's all about engaged Buddhism. So they learn like Buddhist practice of and Dharma, like the 6 paramitas, and then start to examine if there's any like social change actions that either they want to do individually or as a collective. And for the Engaged Buddhism or World Peace, we bring in teacher Joshua Gorman from Thrive East Bay to talk to and share with the students different social change models. Mm-hmm. Does that answer your question?
Yes, absolutely.
So
when I talk about the program, I just want to sign up for it. Honestly, I'm like, wow, I want to do this. This is so great.
Well, let's say that you were signed up.
Yeah.
What would your day today have been like in the program? Well, what would someone expect a sample, maybe not always representative day, but a sample day? What might they encounter?
So the Compassion Action Fellows this year we started the Compassion Action Fellow program with this almost 4-week summer immersion retreat. And that this retreat was located at the beautiful Namchak Retreat Ranch in Western Montana in the Bodhi House. So at 7 a.m., the students would hear one of their fellow students ringing a bell, signaling that it was time to wake up. And start the day with a group meditation practice in the shrine room. This practice would be led by one of our facilitators and either be on shamatha or one of the 4 immeasurables. After that beautiful group practice, students would trickle down to breakfast, and they're served. They'll help. Some of the students would help make the breakfast, and they have like a shared meal together. Oftentimes, the food would come from our permaculture site, where the students had like harvested the vegetables, harvested the eggs, and then they get ready for either like a session. We would either go out to the permaculture site to do some hands-on work on the land. We are led by like an incredible, we call this person named Rick Rousey, who we call the Buddhist farmer, but he leads all of our permaculture work. Or we would have a visit from another teacher. So that morning time was always like they're active on the land or receiving a lesson from one of our teachers. And then there's a little bit of a break afterwards where students would do like study and contemplation time. We've created some really nice spots around the Bodhi House and outside of the Bodhi House for students to either like retreat, just to do like some personal reading, or to be able to have like one-on-one connection with the other students. And then after lunch, we would come back together for like a few hour session that was always Dharma teaching. So we had teachers come in we started off with 4 Noble Truths and then spent a lot of time studying 6 Paramitas as well. So the teacher would join, give a teaching, and then there was always robust Q&A and discussion. One thing that I like love about these students, and oftentimes the students that show up, is that I really do feel like they're inspired by the path of the Bodhisattva. They enter it with like a really like wise and courageous heart, and intention to understand and to care for one another. So those teaching sessions were always like very rich and deep, and lots of great Q&A.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Marissa, how does that differ from the experience you had when you've done this immersion yourself? Does it?
Oh, well, so I just want to clarify. I've been a part of the retreat, but with a lens of working as a digital and social media manager. So I never really like dove in as a student, but spent a lot of time connecting with the students and sharing stories and hearing impact. So
lovely. Okay, that's great.
Well, I wanted to ask if I, sorry to interrupt, Ron. So, like the students were listening to all, this teachings of, compassion and the paramitas and, the immeasurables. So how are those kind of transform into practice in the world? Like, so they're listening to the philosophy and the concept, but like in the program, how is that kind of translated into action?
So that's such a beautiful question, and it almost like brings tears to my eyes. When the students were introduced to like 4 measurables and 6 paramitas in the 2nd and 3rd week of the program. So, the first week was really like all orientation, kind of grounding in, getting to know each other. It's like some of them were like coming in contact with these kinds of practices for the very first time. 2nd week, they've like formed this really beautiful community, and now they're introduced like these really like rich, heart-opening practices. And it, to me, was like when the retreat really started. And I think your question is so beautiful because it's when the students were contemplating and beginning to put these practices into work or into play, I noticed in everything they did. I noticed that it transformed the way that they treated themselves. kindness, like self-compassion. Oh, I had a meditation practice this morning and I was so distracted, but that's okay. Like, let me show myself a little compassion and a little ease. It also showed up in how they treated one another. I was just on a call this last hour with some of the facilitators and teachers, and what they said was that has really impacted is the level of care that these students who did not know each other before showing up for this retreat showed one another from all different walks of life, people who may not have been friends in other circumstances, like all felt like deep love and care for one another. And then like in a really practical sense, at the very last week of the fourth week of the retreat, the students really started to turn their attention to this idea of like engage Buddhism or action in the world. And when we did the interview process with the students, there were questions about this, like, well, what do you care? Like, what issues are you most passionate about in the world? And we got like one, and like they were very clear, like one answer. But now, like putting the lens of the four measurables and six paramitas, like as an overlay to those issues, I think that what I noticed is that they were all beginning to approach those issues and what they care about with a different orientation. Maybe a different jumping off point. But this is just the beginning. It's a year-long program too. So I'm so curious to see, like, as the students work with these practices more and more and have that thinking about what their work is to do in the world, how that will transform over the course.
So the 4-week immersion is the beginning of the year-long program.
Yes.
And how many participants are there this year?
We have a smaller cohort this year. We have 11 students.
How many have there been in the past? That's a small.
Up to 24.
Oh,
So we capped the retreat at 24 students. This year we wanted to scale back and because we restructured it with this, starting off with this month-long retreat. We wanted to like have a smaller number.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah. And then just practically speaking, it's open to people in a certain age window. Is that 18 to 27? Do I have that correct? And anyone in the US or Canada is eligible. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, great. That's great. Is there anything else people should know if they're considering whether or not this might be for them?
One thing that I think is important to keep in mind is that this program it's rigorous. This program is deep and it's beautiful and it's rigorous. And I think that when students, it offers like so many beautiful teachings and opportunities, and students need to like understand that it requires quite a bit of effort. But what you get out of it when you put the effort in can be a really beautiful, transformative experience.
What does the program look like once they go home? So like they did the 4-week immersion, they go home, and what does the program look like for them when they're back in their communities?
So when they're back in so another great question. So I think of the 4-week immersion program as like as an opportunity to go deep in the practices and form community that will carry them through the rest of the year when they go back to their communities. So once they get back to wherever they came from, whether it be a college campus or their town, an organization they're working for, they begin a journey of creating a learning circle or carrying on a learning circle that was already established in their community. So once again, learning circles are our small meditation groups. We like to think of them as these like intimate containers for people to come together, practice meditation, learn Dharma, and support one another in their journeys, all of the challenges and celebrations. So the students are supported by the Namchak staff to establish a learning circle, and then those learning circles will meet once a week throughout the course of the year. And Namchak provides curriculum and content for the students, and then they also are able to like co-create their own agendas where they are helping their communities go through this journey of exploration in the personal community world spheres as well. The students will also come together like once a month for a cohort call with in their own little community, and then also with one of the Namchak staff or teachers where they're supported in their journey, and then also receiving like a short teaching. And then they also have the opportunity to do 2 weekend-long retreats with a Namchak teacher.
Very cool.
And if
So
you're interested in any of that, I can send you like a one-pager overview of their journey too.
great. So when will people be able to apply for the next cohort?
We'll open applications up in September of this year.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, as you know, we're looking forward to, after this conversation with you, speaking with a person or two who has gone through this year's cohort, getting their own experiences. But for now, we just want to say thank you so much, Jessica and Marissa, for talking to us about Namchak and this wonderful initiative. It's wonderful. I think that is it for now.
Well, thank you both so much, and thank you for all of the work that you do and have done in this world.
Thank you.